Yo, my bad if I'm not talking that loud. It's kind of late right now for me, but anyways. In my last video about how I made a lot of Robux in 3 days of work, half of the comments were actually asking how to get players in your game in the first place. Instead of stretching the video out to 20 minutes long like everyone else, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know without yapping. The first thing you need to do is to make sure that you have a nice game icon and thumbnail so that people actually want to play your game. The second thing, which isn't necessary but helps a bit, is having keywords in your game description. Make sure you also have emojis. It looks nice and players will want to play a bit more. Just make sure you don't exaggerate. You guys, keeping track of your game's analytics is detrimental in making your game popular. If your game is buns, it'll straight up just tell you. What you need to do is go in the Creator Hub, click your game, and then click Overview. If you don't have the button, then I think it means that your game must be open for at least a week, but I'm not actually sure what the requirement is. Now, once you're in the Overview menu, you want to make sure that all of these stats, all of these bars are either green, yellow, or worst case scenario at like the top of red. Now, let me explain how to raise each one of these individually. To increase your average session time, just make sure your game's enjoyable. If your game's an obby, make sure there's plenty of stages, and if your game's a simulator and incremental, just make sure the progression isn't too slow. I mean, you get the point, this is kind of straightforward, but you can also always go down the Souls RNG route and make your players AFK overnight for the best stuff. Okay, day 1 retention is the percentage of players that come back to the game after a day of joining. If your game's fun enough, this shouldn't be a problem. Basically the same thing as day 1 retention, but it's the same amount of players that rejoin but a week later. This is the percentage of players which will spend Robux on your game. Just don't shove a ton of rainbow buttons everywhere on the side of your screen, cause yeah, just maybe add like a subtle notification or something. This is pretty self-explanatory, it's just the amount of Robux you get per paying player. This is the amount of players that play your game after seeing it in their recommendations. Again, make sure your icon and your thumbnail looks nice and don't add unnecessary bloat to the game title. I don't think having a bad like to dislike ratio changes much algorithm wise, but if someone clicks on your game and notices a 30% like ratio, they're probably going to click away. To increase this, add like goals in the description or in the game. If you want to add a like counter in your game, here's how you do it. This is probably the most important tip in the entire video. You want to add a button in your game that invites friends. Here's how you do that. I've actually noticed that popular games are starting to prompt players to favorite the game more and more, and that causes the players to see it in their favorites and therefore increasing the day 1 and day 7 retention. So yeah, here's how you prompt the player to favorite the game. Okay, finally ads. Ads are an easy way to get players. Here's a rundown on everything I do when running an ad. You create a campaign, the name doesn't matter. I select lifetime budget. Now, lifetime essentially does like a wave of players every 2 hours or so, and it brings in much more players than daily, for me at least. Daily used to be the strat when the ad manager first came out, but yeah, it's not really like that anymore. You want to make the ad last exactly 1 day. I haven't tested different ad durations, but yeah, it just spreads out your players in that time frame. Alright, the next step is to create an ad set. You select sponsored experience, all regions, all ages, except if your game has like blood or mentions alcohol or anything like that. Toggle as many devices as you can, just make sure if you select console that your game has proper console support. And finally, all genres. Now, the bidding. This is where most people get it wrong. You want to actually bid like 0.01 or 0.02. And then finally, just select your game for the ad to run. And yeah, the ad should be working after like an hour or so of posting it. For 20 ad credits, which is 5,700 Robux, my average amount of players in total is around 2,000 to 2,500. I don't even actually know if those stats are good, so let me know in the comments how many players you guys get in total. Of course, if you see this video like a year later of it being posted, then the optimal settings probably changed, so I suggest you to just test around yourself. I'm just joking, there's no more tips. That's about it. Just please like and subscribe if you like these straight to the point videos. It will mean the world to me. And yeah, see ya.